All righty, good morning. Happy Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. The chat is open. How's everybody doing? Haven't seen you guys online in a couple weeks, but I know a lot of you. I got to see you guys last week at the Wealth and Mindset Seminar, which was so good. Good morning, Lynn. Hi, Carrie. Good morning. We missed you last week. I know it's tough to get those days off. Good morning, Alejandro. We had such a good time last week. It was amazing. Cheers. Good morning, Juan. I miss you guys. Where is everyone tuning in today? Good morning, Shirley. Good morning, Walter. Get started in just a moment. Awesome. Love that. East Coast, Pennsylvania. Well, kind of East Coast. Well, we welcome you, Deborah. I'm really excited for today's session. Yes, Fort Lauderdale. Love it. Good morning, Allison. So glad you guys can make it today because it's going to be a good one. Mark, awesome. Love it, guys. All right, yeah, Walter. Gonna have to get you to come visit soon. Hollywood. Yes, ma'am. Where I was born. Love it. All right, guys. Good morning. Oh, welcome, Dennis. Good morning. And Isaac, thanks for being here. Jacksonville, let's go. Love that you guys are tuning in here to BPM RIA. That is Broward, Palm Beach, Miami-Dade Real Estate Investors Association, your only local and approved chapter here in South Florida that is partnered with the National Real Estate Investors Association. So happy to have you guys on here today. My name is Alexa, COO here at BPM RIA. I have some awesome people here from Broward County Housing Options Solutions and Support Division. Lewis and Michael, they'll introduce themselves in just a moment, but we have an awesome session today, guys. Something that we kind of, spoken a little bit about here and there, but this is going to be hyper focused on partnering to end homelessness. It's going to be a win-win investment for you guys, and I'm really excited for the team to expand on this and how they do this locally, and just get us more details, more information. And don't worry, we are recording today's session, so you can review this on your own time again and share this with people who really need it. This session is going to be for landlords, our investors, on, generally service providers, as well as community leaders. We want you guys to know what's going on, what's available, and I'm just really excited to talk about this. As we know, we are all, community leaders in our own way. And I would love to see how we can grow in this space. So just to get us started on a super positive note, I am raffling a free membership on today's webinar. So the way you need to enter is by texting the word membership to this phone number that you see on the screen. Go ahead and text membership to 954-800-6961, and you will go ahead and get entered into our raffle, which I will announce the winner at the very end. So make sure you stay on until the very end to hear if you are the winner for our 1 year membership. That is a $295 value that if you guys don't know anything about the membership, don't worry. I will be doing a membership benefits webinar in a few weeks. So you can go ahead and get registered for that on our upcoming events calendar. Not the actual calendar, that's just for a visual for you guys, but on the left-hand side, you will see list of events. I have several pages. I want to say I have pretty much 4 pages of upcoming events listed on our website right now. So go get locked in. My members, you guys get in free for the quarterly networking meetings. Whoever wins a membership today, you'll get a free ticket to our quarterly networking meeting that's happening on November 5th. So make sure if you are a member, go get locked in right now. Reserve your free ticket on MemberFlow, the member portal. If this sounds like gibberish to you again, make sure that you're registered for that membership benefits webinar that I'll be hosting in a couple weeks, you guys. So my favorite way to keep up with events, it is super easy. So convenient. All you need to do is text BPM REIA, all one word, no spaces, to our event line, and you will get opted in to our event updates via text. So go ahead and do that. Again, super easy, super convenient. We love it. And I just love to get the text because it's the easiest for me. I get the link, I get the details, I get the reminder. As we know, we get a ton of emails, and I know that. So go ahead and do that. Details are in the chat for y'all. Upcoming quick start training. I am going to go ahead and pop up a poll here because I want to know who I need to reach out to get more details to the boot camp. So the next boot camp we're having, it's actually the last boot camp of this year, 2025. It's going to be on November 15th and 16th. This is a 2 full day training led by our CEO and lead mentor, Anish Dave. So it's going to be 2 full days live on Zoom, cameras on, microphones on. So not like this webinar that we're in right now. It's going to be feeling like face to face, but virtual. We're going to talk about wholesaling, flipping, and rehabbing. If these are strategies that you want to get into, then you 100% need to attend the quick start if you haven't already. All of our new students will be there, new mentor students will be in that training. People who are thinking about joining the mentor program, they're going to be in there. And then anyone who's interested in these specific strategies that we teach, you guys need to be there. It's the last one of the year. You want to get started this year on a good note and be prepared, equipped, and ready to speak with homeowners and start finding deals. So this is going to be the place that you do that. Super safe. It's a money back guarantee. You don't have to stress it because we're going to give you everything you need to know to be able to talk to homeowners confidently, and start finding deals, you guys. It's like a really big deal. We absolutely love this training. That's why we host it every year. We host it quarterly, 4 times per year. So this is the last one of this year until I believe January next year. So you want to get in now and not push it off until January. For those that have schedule conflicts, I totally get it. And that's why I have the January dates available. You just have to email me. So get locked in for November. I look forward to spending the weekend with you guys. Thank you for answering the poll. I truly appreciate it. And I will be following up with those that checked yes. Unless you've already been in, those already attended, thank you guys so much. And I'm hoping that you gave us a Google review so people can see how amazing it is and how impactful this training is. So thank you guys so much. Members, as you guys know, you get all of the goodies. You're getting your discounts to Home Depot, Office Depot, property insurance with Millennial, self-directed IRA, which you guys, I have some treats in store for that. We're going to get Gamma Plan, self-directed IRA, to do a presentation very soon, brand new, fresh, and very informative, which I know a lot of you guys have been asking questions about the self-directed IRA, working with tax-free accounts and things like that. So just keep just keep an eye out on for that one. And then Avis Budget, getting huge discounts to all of these different companies. You also get in free for the quarterly networking meeting. The event is posted on our upcoming events. I want to say it's on page 2 or 3. Click the link in the chat for the upcoming events on our website. Scroll down, click page 2. If it's not on page 2, it's on page 3. So get reserved, get your free tickets. You also get your guests come in for only half price, $10. So members, as you guys know, you get locked in for free, and then your members only $10. Non-members, don't worry, you can still attend for $15 early bird and $20 at the door. We want to see you there. We're going to have incredible vendors. I already have at least 12 vendors lined up for you guys. Have a couple more spots. So if any vendor partners are on here, definitely get locked in with me, so we can get you your vendor table for the networking portion. We have an awesome topic for you guys. We're going to talk about asset protection. So it's going to be great for all of you investors out there. And then, of course, my members, you guys get to enjoy special pricing for the workshops that we have. So you'll have the member pricing, so you definitely will save some dollars there. If you don't have your membership, go and get it. If you're thinking about getting a membership, still go and get it and still register for my webinar that I have coming up in a few weeks, all about membership benefits, all of the updates, everything that I learned at the National RIA conference 2 weeks ago in New Orleans. I'm really excited to share, insights and, behind the scenes of all that's going on with the memberships. So looking forward to that, you guys. Last but very not least, coaching and mentoring here at BPM RIA. And of course, I'm going to pop up a poll, you guys. I want to know who's interested in one-on-one coaching where we put up 100% of the money for our students' deals and split the profit 50-50. We just had Marcella, one of our students, get a deal with $102,000 profit. She got a check for $51,000. I want to say 2 weeks ago. Absolutely incredible. She's still in her coaching program. She hasn't even finished the program yet. So cool. You guys can see all of us posting this stuff on our social medias, which I'll go ahead and link in the chat. But anyone who is interested in the coaching programs, you guys know that you can book a discovery call. Highly, highly recommend you book a discovery call on our website, and this will lock in some time with you and me, and we can get you the full breakdown of everything we include in our coaching programs, as well as the pricing details. So link is in the chat. Book the discovery call, send me an email, let me know how I can help. We teach wholesaling here. We love it. It's been the biggest profits for our students. And then, of course, we do some rehabs here and there, you guys, as we're always looking to get our students the maximum profit possible. So go book your discovery call on the website. I look forward to speaking with each and every one of you guys, getting you the info. And then don't forget, I have the ability to schedule a 1 hour free consultation with you and our CEO and lead mentor, Anish Dave, to get you all of the nitty-gritty, all of the insides, whatever you want to know, any questions that we can get you all ready to go and signed up. So don't hesitate to reach out to me. I want to help you guys get plugged in. And I will always, always want to take a moment to thank our vendor partners on our website. If you haven't checked them out, please go check them out on bpmria.com. Click the vendor partners link in the chat. This is where you will see all of our incredible vendors that can help you, get you special pricing, answer questions, just be there to support you. They're a huge part of our community. They're a huge part of these events as well as our networking. You'll get to meet them in person at the networking meeting on November 5th. So get familiar with them, get to know them, ask them questions. always let them know that BPM RIA sent you, and always want to take another moment to thank the National RIA for everything that they provide for us, all of the benefits, resources, voter voice, access to Congress, things like that, you guys. If you haven't explored the National RIA website, links in the chat, you must explore. That is where we get all the good stuff, and that's where we get all the discounts. So, and education, so much to explore on their website. So make sure you take time to do that. But like I mentioned in the beginning of today's webinar, we are recording today's webinar. So make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. Link is in the chat. We will be posting the replay within 24 hours so you guys can share this with somebody who needs it. Share this with your landlord friends, investor friends, anyone that you see as a community leader. This is who this is for. And I'm really excited to learn. And you guys, please, we want to know your questions. Don't hesitate to reach out and ask your questions. Go ahead and put those in the Q&A box that you see on the Zoom menu. You will be able to ask as many questions as possible. We'll answer as many as we can, but I am super excited to have Lewis and Michael here. Lewis, you are a pro at these presentations, but just know that we have a mixture of people. We have realtors, investors, landlords, all types of people that join our webinars on a regular basis. So we are all here to learn and excited to see what you guys do. And just really pumped to learn and like really explore these opportunities that we may not see on a regular basis because, you know, there's so many ways to invest these days. So we are really excited, and we welcome you and Michael, and please let us know how we can help, what we can do, and this is a win-win investment. So we love win-win here. So please let us know what we can learn from you, and we'll be also putting, questions in the Q&A. Don't wait till the last 5 minutes, you guys. Put those questions in. Anything that comes up, put it in the Q&A so you don't forget. You can always chat with us in the chat box as well.
Thank you, Alexa. I want to make sure that you guys can hear me correctly and that you can see the presentation.
Yes, everything looks great, Lewis. Thank you so
Excellent.
much.
And I had to change my audio setup. I have a coworker here with me as well.
Oh,
Um, so first of all, good morning, everybody. Thank you for having us here this morning. And this is probably the first time that we are doing a presentation to a group of landlords. We do work with a lot of landlords. However, it is unusual for us to do what we're doing now. And I hope that, we'll get to do this more. As a matter of fact, actually, next week I have a similar uh, type of presentation event with some local landlords that do share housing. And we can talk more about that. That might be one of the questions that you will have. But for now, let me just briefly introduce what we do. So we represent Broward County's homeless continuum of care. I'll explain in a second what that means. And we essentially serve the homeless population in Broward County, and we fund the majority of homeless services in Broward County. And so I know that perhaps sounds like a something very different and very um, alien in some ways. But kind of like the quote says on the screen, none of us are home until all of us are home. Very often, it happens. And I talk not only as a civil servant, but also as a landlord myself. Very often, I find myself looking at somebody, on the street corner panhandling and trying to figure out, like what can I do? What more can I do to help this individual? And I think that very often we get desensitized. So the idea is to understand that we're all part of the solution, and sometimes like it can be something as simple as like let's say I know that when I look at rents in the city where I own, I'm flabbergasted. Like, I mean, just a few years ago, I was renting for half the price. And so if I have a good tenant, like that may mean for me, it's like, you know what, I'm not going to increase this year. Because I'd rather keep a tenant longer than, have to replace the tenant, and especially if it's a good tenant. So that's kind of like the sort of idea that I want to share with you, is that, like, sometimes solutions are very simple, and they actually create a return for us or for you as an investor. Now, before we get into more details of what we do and how we do it, let me tell you about some of our objectives for today. As I mentioned, I'm going to explain, what the homeless continuum of care is and what the purpose is for our community. And even if you are not in Broward County, let's say that you are a landlord, an investor in another county, just know that most geographical areas in the country have a continuum of care. So some of the information that I'm giving you may be useful even in another county, in another city, in another state. Uh, and it may be a way for you to start collaborating with some of the continuum of cares in the other counties or cities where you may have real estate. Also, we're going to explain what is the coordinated entry system, which is a system that we use to provide a limited amount of services and funds to a fairly large demand. Also, what are the specific components of our ecosystem, and our strategy, how we try to strategize, and obviously, this is part of the strategy, right? It's that collaboration between public and private uh, ecosystems. And then we're going to look at some specific funding programs that we have and how they can benefit you. We're going to look at one specific project that we have in Broward County. And again, it may be available, or something similar may be available in other counties and cities. And last but not least, these are more specific to Broward County. We're going to share some resources about eviction prevention, housing navigation, deposit assistance, and other incentives that we have available here. But again, these may be available in other places as well. So these may be an opportunity for you to start finding out, okay, who represents, who's the Nico. And by the way, I go by Nico. My full name is Luis Nicola, and that's actually a perfect segue to our next slide. So who are we? So my name is Luis Nicola Aguilar. I'm originally from Venezuela, raised in Italy, uh, American, and I have been a social servant for about on and off 12 years. I've also worked in the private sector. I come from a family of builders, and I'm also a landlord. So I and I think that that's one of the strengths that I bring to my field of social services, is understanding both the needs of our community, the needs of the underserved, but also, as an investor, as a landlord, as a business minded person, what does the business community need? And so I hope that I can convey that to you, and I hope that I can inspire you, like I said, to be part of the solution. And the my coworker is Mike, and I'm gonna let Mike introduce himself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Stirrup with HOSD, Housing Options Solutions and Supports. I work along with Nico, doing many things in the community as far as our homeless population. I've been doing human services work for more than 20 years, more than 25 years, actually. Um, I'm entitled here, or titled Housing Navigator. And it's a pleasure to be on to speak with you guys today, especially making those connections, as I do have clients that are in need of housing.
Thank you, Mike. And as Mike mentioned, like so we're a division of Broward County. So we sit under the Human Services Department. We have a long name. Usually we say, we're HOSD, which stands for Housing Options, Solutions, and Supports. We're a fairly new division, and as I'm going to explain, we are the continuum of care of Broward County. So what is a continuum of care? A continuum of care essentially is the agency or the system or the network that provides the vision, plan, and coordinate services to address homelessness in a specific jurisdiction. And the homeless continuum of care has several components, within its structure, and depending on each jurisdiction may put them together a little bit differently. So on the one hand, as you can see on the screen, you have what we call the collaborative applicant. The collaborative applicant is the agency that goes in front of HUD and says, hey, we are the COC or we are the collaborative applicant. We are going to apply for the funding. So they receive the majority of HUD funding devoted to homelessness for that specific geographic area. Now, together with the collaborative applicant, who, by the way, may or may not be a provider of services as well. In our case, we are. There's also a COC board. And so this is a board made up of stakeholders. Our chair in our jurisdiction is actually a commissioner, but was a former senator, Senator Nan Rich. She is the chair of the COC board. And within this board, we have leaders in our community that have a stake in solving homelessness. We also have what we call the HMIS lead. The HMIS lead, HMIS stands for Homeless Management Information System. That's the system that is used nationwide to, imagine like a client management system. It's the same thing, but it's specific for homelessness. Now, every jurisdiction has its own. So like our system does not track data and individuals from Dade County, for instance. So each jurisdiction has its own, but it looks pretty much the same and it operates pretty much the same in each jurisdiction. And then we have additional subcommittees or work groups, and I will talk a little bit more about those specifically for our county. And last but not least, we have our COC members, our continuum of care members. And this is basically any stakeholder from providers that are actually funded by us to you, investors, landlords, homeowners that live within that geographical area that have a stake in addressing homelessness. And then we have the coordinate entry system. So the coordinate entry system is essentially how we operate. And that again is something that is established by federal statutes. So it has very specific components, and I will talk about some of those in a few slides. So I mentioned our boards, kind of like how our governance is structured. So we have the Homeless Continuum of Care Board, which is kind of like our main board. Think about this as an executive board, and then we have subcommittees. So we have the performance, outcomes, needs, and gaps, which is it's the name is pretty self-explanatory, but they look at the performance of our system, the performance of our funded providers. What other needs do we have in our community? And then we have other committees or subcommittees, like the Housing Action Committee. That's how we were introduced to you. One of the members of that committee, I think, is also a member of your organization. And the Housing Action Committee looks at housing supply, housing affordability, and they host an event which is coming up in a few weeks, which is called the Landlord Appreciation Event. Some of you may be in attendance. Unfortunately, the registration closed pretty quickly. So, we were planning to invite you. So hopefully you already got your invitation and you will be able to attend. And if not, let your friends tell you about it. And then we have the Consumer Advocacy Committee that looks at the needs of our population. And they also have a signature event every year, which is called the Homeless Symposium, which is an event where many of the providers in our jurisdiction, many clients, come together in one place. There's a variety of events. And then we also do a focus group to survey what do they feel are their needs and the gaps in our system of care. And obviously, all this information, we try to use it to improve our system of care. We also have a subcommittee that is devoted to youth and families. And we have another subcommittee that it's specific to the quarter entry system, which I will talk more about in a few slides. A couple of things to keep in mind. All of our meetings are have to be, they're public, so any of you can attend, can see, what happens in these committees, what is discussed, and by the way, like that's one way that you can get involved. So let's say that you don't have any properties available, or that you say, what, like I have good tenants, or my home is not necessarily, a home that it's, available for the home, the formerly homeless population. However, I still want to be part of the solution. So you can still participate in some of these committees. It's an opportunity for networking, to understand our community better, and to make a difference. So if you go to that website, it's broward.org, or if you just type, Sunshine Meetings, Broward County, you can find when the next meeting it's taking place, and they're usually on a monthly basis. There's also a Homeless Providers and Stakeholders Council. It doesn't necessarily fall within our governance. It's more a provider and stakeholder led council, but it still communicates and contributes to our overall governance. And last but not least, because we sit within Broward County Board of County Commissioners, we also have to abide by county governance. I usually say, like if something has a fiscal or contractual implication with Broward County, then like that's where the county it's part of that governance. So what does our division specifically do? So as I mentioned before, we're the collaborative applicant. So we go in front of HUD every year, a couple of years, depending on when HUD opens their competition process to apply for funding. And we get the majority of the funding for homeless services in Broward County. And I'll explain later, what these services, what the traditional services are. We also, provide kind of like all the strategy, the conversation, the meetings, the advocacy for homelessness within our jurisdiction, and sometimes also at the state and federal level. We provide planning and additional funding to address homelessness. We coordinate the delivery of housing and services. We help the rehousing of individuals and families. We obviously look at how individuals and families access our system of care and how our services are utilized. And then we try to optimize that utilization and try to promote self-sufficiency. And last but not least, we try to do this in a trauma-informed fashion. Obviously, experiencing homelessness is a traumatic event. Often the cause of homelessness is a traumatic event. And so we try to have, empathy as we provide all these services. So who is our population? Like often, like when we think about homelessness, it's actually a fairly technical definition. So HUD defines homeless in four ways. One is somebody that is literally homeless, meaning that they live in a place not meant for human habitation. The street, the car, even an emergency shelter is considered a place not meant for human habitation. And that's kind of like our main category. Then we have category two, which is individuals or families that are at imminent risk of becoming homeless. Becoming homeless. And these are your individuals or families that are in the process of being evicted, or let's say perhaps a home is being sold, and so they don't have a deposit to pay or enough money to pay a deposit. And so these are, they have very specific circumstances, and these are, what we call category two. We don't traditionally serve them, but we have some funding and some programs because this category is what we call, like prevention or diversion. Then we have category three, which is a category that is kind of like close to my heart. As a father and as a family man, category three is what we call the double up. It's primarily children, and if you look at the numbers, it's a pretty striking number. The amount of children that have housing insecurity. Um, so they're not literally homeless. So they're not living necessarily in a car, in the street, or in a shelter. However, they might be living with grandma, grandpa, family friend. Their parents may be homeless, but they had family support or friend support that allow them to keep the children housed. So that's what falls under category three. We call it the McKinney Bento category. And last but not least, we have category four, which is individuals and or families that are fleeing or attempting to flee domestic violence. So the two primary categories that we serve in the majority of our programs is category one and category four. Um, so these are because, and again, think about, limited amount of funding and resources for a fairly large demand. So like these are kind of like the low hanging fruit within our system of care. And also the ones that are a little bit easier to identify, it's more straightforward than the other two categories. So before I move, and pardon me, I jump a few slides. Let's see if I can go back. Okay. So how do we do what we do? So it's the way that we operate, it's through the coding entry system. Again, keeping in mind that idea of limited resources, a pretty large demand. We have a system to look at our performance and how we are providing, those limited resources to a, somewhat indefinite number of households. So one is we look at how individuals and families access our system of care. So we have a pretty good picture of how they do this. And we have organizations or specific components of our system of care devoted to the access of individuals and families into our system. Then obviously we have to assess their needs, and we have tools and assessment tools and other tools to determine, okay, what are the needs of these individuals and families. And then based on those needs and the level of what we call vulnerability, we prioritize those needs to the limited resources that we have. And last but not least, then we have a process to link those needs to the services available. And so these are components, again, these exist, these are established by federal statutes. We have them, the whole country runs the continuum of cares. Similarly, as a matter of fact, many systems of care operate in a similar fashion. Even if you think about, private sector in some ways has similar, components to this. When you think about, how do you get referrals? How do you get leads? And then how do you provide services or goods or services to your leads? So it's a very similar, I guess, flow. Now, specifically within our system, these are the specific components, right? So when it comes to access, our main access point is what we call our outreach teams and our helpline. We have a homeless helpline. I think we have a link or the number in our, one of our last slides. By the way, we're going to share this presentation with you. So all this information will be available to you so that you can reference later. So we have our outreach teams and the helpline, and those are kind of like the first contact, the first point of contact for the majority of individuals and families. Now, within our provider network, an individual or a family can go to any of our providers, and we have what we call a no wrong door approach, meaning that if they go to any provider, let's say they go to a shelter or to like a housing provider or a service provider, they will know how to link them to the primary access point. What you see in red is what we call prioritization projects. And the main things that we prioritize are access to shelter and access to housing. Because again, we have a limited amount of shelter and a limited amount of rental assistance available. So we have to make sure that we prioritize the individuals and families with the greatest need and more vulnerable, more vulnerable. Then we have our emergency shelters, and I'll give you some numbers also in a couple of slides so that you have, you can see a different picture of these components. We also have transitional housing. Transitional housing, right now we have limited amount of transitional housing. We think, like there's, there's information out there that the new administration is moving into increasing the amount of transitional housing and reducing the amount of housing assistance. We don't know that for sure. In the next 6 months we should have more clarity on that. And again, that can present some opportunities and some challenges that remains to be seen. And last but not least, we have what we call either rapid rehousing or permanent supportive housing, which are our traditional subsidized housing interventions. I'll talk a little bit more about those in a couple of slides. And just for you to have an idea, you may be more familiar with Section 8. So we're not a housing authority. We do not provide Section 8, but permanent supportive housing and rapid rehousing in some ways function as a Section 8 voucher. And I'll explain a little bit the difference between those, the Section 8 vouchers or the housing choice vouchers and our permanent supportive housing and rapid rehousing strategies. So all these components work within an ecosystem. And that's where, I want to, and hopefully you're already seeing how you fit within this picture. So obviously we have, on the left here, have all our system of care, right? So we have the educational system of care, the judicial system of care, child welfare, older adult services, healthcare, behavioral health, law enforcement. We have our transit system, our airport system. And so all of those systems in some ways are affected by homelessness in one form or another. Then we have our homeless individuals and families, our traditional components that we mentioned before, street outreach, the homeless helpline. Then we have within our system, we have the emergency shelters. We have the coordinatory team, which is the team that manages the prioritization of services. We have kind of like like I mentioned in the beginning, our homeless management information system provider or lead. It's kind of like imagine our information and technology team. We have our boards. Then we have provider and stakeholders. Some of you may already be providers and stakeholders. Some of you didn't see themselves as provider and stakeholders, and now you're realizing, oh yes, I am a provider and stakeholder because I am housing formerly homeless individuals or families. And that's, like it can be because you have a stake of some fashion, of some kind, maybe just because you have a business and you are affected by, homeless individuals, like sleeping, close to your business, or it is because you are a housing provider and you're actually serving somebody that was formerly homeless, or somebody that actually you help prevent going into homelessness because maybe you were able to provide an affordable deposit or like an affordable rent, because it made sense for you to do that for whatever reason. So you might already have a stake within our ecosystem. And if not, hopefully, after today, you might consider having a stake within our system. And we'll explain, where the win-win comes, right? So looking specifically at access, so the way that individuals access our shelters is through our outreach providers. The way that families access our shelters is through our helpline. And the way that our clients access housing is through our specific devoted porting entry team. And that's the team that in some ways, will make that referral to a provider, and then that provider can work with somebody like you in matching a housing subsidy to an actual unit. So, what are the two main types of housing interventions that we have? One is called rapid rehousing, the other one is called permanent supported housing. So, rapid rehousing is intended to be a short term to medium term intervention that includes rental assistance and supportive services. Usually, like the rental assistance can come in the form of a deposit or, 3 months of deposit plus rental assistance. And then, the individual or the family becomes self sufficient. For rapid rehousing, usually we look at individuals and families that we know, they will be able to become self-sufficient. So usually it's not individuals or families on a fixed income. Usually they have employment. Perhaps they, like lost their housing because, like there was a break in their income, or there was a health condition that prevented them from being housed. And that's what led them to become homeless. And it also goes on a reduced scale. So let's say somebody qualifies for a medium term rapid rehousing. Usually we start subsidizing 80% of their rent or 70% of the rent, and then every month, every quarter, we go down a percentage. So the portion that we subsidize, it's smaller, and then the portion that they contribute becomes higher until at the end of the term they are contributing, paying 100% of their rent. But we provide supportive services, or one of our providers provides supportive services for the duration of the program, so up to the 24 months, and sometimes even beyond that. And then we have permanent supportive housing. Permanent supportive housing is more similar to your traditional Section 8 in the sense that it's permanent, so it's a permanent subsidy. But the difference is that it's specific for formerly or homeless individuals, and it's for your more stereotypical homeless individual. So it's somebody that, or family. So it's somebody that has usually, and again, we have different uh, facets to permanent supportive housing, but usually is an individual or family where there's a disabling condition, they live on fixed income, they have experienced homelessness for a significant amount of time, and so we have determined that they're kind of like our highest need individuals and families. So this is a little bit of a picture of our specific county. This is for the beginning of fiscal year 2025. Our fiscal year goes from October to December. So this is October to December 2024. And this is where, like you should start getting a library. So during those 3 months, so during the period October 1st to December 31st, 2024, our street outreach team saw a total of 4,000 individuals that experienced homelessness anywhere from one night to a significant amount of time. It could be for the duration of those 3 months. And those are what we call unduplicated individuals. Uh, so, that's, and again, it's difficult to say, oh, that was about 1,000 individuals per month, because really sometimes they carry over. But it's for you to have an idea of the extent of individuals that experience homelessness, again, from one night all the way to an extended period of time. Our shelter capacity, which is it's this blue column right here. Right here it says 600 beds. That was the capacity back during that period, because we were doing construction in one of our shelters. Right now, our shelter capacity, it's closer to 850 beds. So those are the individuals. So any given night, there's 850 individuals, which can include, a whole family in our shelters. Back in the period October through December 2024, the shelters served a total of 1,164 individuals. So you can see there's not a significant amount of rotation. So during those 3 months, well, actually, yeah, maybe about 400, 500 individuals rotated throughout that time. But like the remainder, they probably stayed in shelter, more than 3 months. Sometimes it's 6, 9. We tried, as individuals get close to a year, we try to ensure that they move to something more permanent. So like within a year, like we should know if it's somebody that can obtain self-sufficiency on their own. While they're in shelter, they get to save, they get to work on their employment strategies. So sometimes, and we have housing navigators in the shelters. So very often the shelters are the ones that may be looking for landlords to serve individuals and families coming out of the shelter within that time frame. And usually, we look at stability, like, are they going to be stable enough, self-sufficient enough to be independent? And then the other thing that I really want to put some emphasis is these numbers right here. So again, in the period October through December 2024, we served over 2,000 individuals in our housing programs. So this is what we call scatter site, meaning, a landlord like you was providing the home and we were subsidizing the rent. And when I say we, it's us through one of our providers. That's a total on any given day of more than 1,000. If you see here, how many households, that's more than 1,000 households. That's actually close to 1,200. So that means that approximately, and again, this is a very, like macro view, but every given month, there's 100 leases that are being renewed, or that there's 100 households that need a new home. So this is where the opportunity can come in for some of you. And so in just a second, Mike is going to tell you how we made that connection, from the individuals we serve to you, the landlord. Mike, the floor is yours.
Right. Good morning again, everyone, or early afternoon. So I'm here to talk to you guys a bit about the supportive services team. The team I'm a part of, a department within the division. And just briefly, those members are Pamela Vance, who is our human services manager, my supervisor. We have Gerald Francois, who is a program project coordinator, hospital liaison. And we also have Ms. Patricia Kelly, who is our human services coordinator. She does case management. And we have Candace Lee, our behavioral health specialist, who handles a lot of our in-calls or walk-ins. Some of the services that we do offer our case management. For those of you that are interested in shared living, one of the benefits is that you will have a case manager there to assist with that client and as they proceed through living. We provide services such as first, last month rental payments, security deposits as well for those that qualify. One part of the reasons why our department was established was to help out in other services that are often associated with homelessness, such as utility assistance, those that need utility deposits. We also, to a certain amount, provide furniture through a vendor that we work with, tables, couches, chairs, etc. For those individuals that are inside shelter that have storage, because of course they can't bring all those items with them, we do allow for storage payments as well. And for our landlords that join us and that are willing to work with some of our challenging clients, we do have landlord incentives as well. A new program that we just established with Coast to Coast Legal Aid is eviction prevention. So this is more of what Nico was talking about on the side of preventative services, to where we can actually, through vetting those people, proving their sustainability, be able to get them out of an eviction, a potential eviction situation. All right, can you go to the next slide, Nico? All right, thank you. And so, in particular, a program that we work with and our program that I am sort of facilitating is Project Home Again. This program is directed specifically towards landlords, property owners, property managers, even realtors, to try to find affordable housing for the people we serve. When I say affordable housing, of course, I mean things that are reasonable within the fair market rate for Broward County, state of Florida. A lot of those benefits that will be offered to you, those that choose to participate in this program, is that you'll have access to clients or tenants, potential tenants that we have vetted to a certain extent. We have tried to make sure that they are sustainable and will be able to continue to pay their rent. Those individuals that have move-in cost needs, such as those security deposits, we will pay those for those that qualify. Great thing about it, as I mentioned before, the incentives and the monetary bonuses for our landlords that are first-time landlords, landlords that offer additional units to our clients, more than just one unit, and also, like I said, those that will give a second chance to clients that are more challenging. There are no fees required to enter this program. Actually, sort of towards the bottom where it says how to get started, that email, which is a better way. I watched that email and I monitor it. You can send the email directly to that, where I can provide more information. You can let me know your interests, and then we have a database that we are compiling where we have all of our landlords in that database. Each month, you'll receive an email from me asking what is your availability, what do you have to offer price wise, rent pricing. And then I will take all of that information and I will send it out to our providers that do housing. So as Nico was mentioning, a lot of providers that receive funding from us that offer housing programs, I send that email out to them. Those people will see that email and will likely, give you a call to talk about your units that are available or your properties that are available. And I do that every month. And you just send an email to me, requesting that. I'll email you back with a bit more information and we can go from there. So it's basically the way it works. We do require a few things though. If you're not already one of our providers, we will require like a signed lease agreement, as well as like a W-9, some information like that, so that we can add you as a supplier. But other than that, the program is a great program. I've had a lot of contact with a lot of landlords. We currently have more than 200, almost close to 300 landlords that are on this list that receive this correspondence. Thank you.
And you can see, again, if you want this information immediately, you can just take a picture. As I mentioned before, the homeless helpline, that's usually a easy way, if you see somebody experiencing homelessness that may want services, that's a number that you can provide to them or that you can call with them. Um, you can also see, our outreach team meets in specific locations. They also have a form online that you can request, like sometimes, an individual might be bound to the location where they are for, a variety of reasons. We have, as Mike mentioned, two homeless prevention or homeless eviction programs that sit within legal aid or in coast to coast legal aid of Broward County. You have the information on the screen, and then you have Mike's team and my information there as well, in case you have additional questions. I'm trying to answer some of the questions on the chat. And let me see, I can see, and I can answer them verbally right now, and then I will definitely type the answers so that I believe you might have these may come out to you afterwards. So I think the first one is the organization a 501c3 entity? Are they funded by federal, county, or private grants? So we are actually a county division. So we're part of Broward County Board of County Commissioners, and we are funded by a mix of federal, state, and local funds. We have some private grants actually. The eviction prevention comes from a private grant. Um, so that's the answer to that question. Thank you, Michelle. The other question was, other than their executive board, does any other entity give oversight to the organization? Yeah, actually, we have a lot of oversight. We're accountable to obviously the commissioners and the county administrator. We also have obviously our operations and leadership team. Um, we have the homeless continuum of care board, and but then we're also accountable to our funders and our stakeholders. That's why we have these committees. These committees, in some ways, is a way of holding us accountable to the things that we are supposed to do. So when you go to any of the committees and subcommittees, you have the community and you have what we call staff represented in the meetings. Let me go through the other questions. For landlords considering partner with the organization, is there a screening process for tenants? Who signs the lease, the organization or the tenant? And I may ask Mike to pitch in here, but usually the lease is between the landlord and the tenant. So like the actual person living in the home, but there might be an additional document, agreement between the organization that funds the other portion of the rent and the landlord, clarifying that specific relationship. I know that for the county, when we are the direct provider, we have, documents such as those. And then, yes, we do screen and inspect the property, and we do screen, obviously, the tenants as well. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Mike.
Yeah, just real quick. Nico's correct. Shared living in those situations, that's usually when there is a lease agreement between the owner and the person that is offering the services. That's if they don't own the property. But in most cases, for regular leases, it's usually just the person that owns the property and the client or the tenant, potential tenant. And as Nico said, the screening process, we do try to screen for sustainability. Sorry about that. So we will ask for proof of income just to prove that the individual will not be put in another bad situation where they wouldn't be able to pay the rent.
Thank you, Mike. We see the next question. What local state organization might be directly in category 2 imminent risk, particularly related to active seniors? That's a great question. So just like our system, let's say just like we are at the core of our system, so we are the continuum of care per se, uh, the system of care that serves the senior population, and again, this is established by the Department of Elder Affairs in Broward County. It's called the Aging and Disability Resource Center. So if you put on Google, like ADRC. So again, that stands for Aging and Disability Resource Center, ADRC. So if you type ADRC Broward, you will get their phone number, and they are the ones that serve older adults. So like it's usually 55 plus, 50 plus. It depends on the funding and program. Uh, they might have programs specific for seniors in category 2. But also, if they're at risk of eviction, you can contact directly Coast to Coast Legal Aid. The numbers on the screen. They may also be able to provide if there's some legality involved in why they're at risk. There's also a county agency. I used to work for them years ago, which is Broward County Elderly and Veteran Services. And again, if you go, if you Google Broward County Elderly and Veteran Services, you can get their phone number, and they also have kind of like a helpline that will let you know if there's funding available or other resources available for seniors that may fall under that category. That's a great question. So do individuals automatically transition out of the shelter to semi-permanent or permanent housing? So it depends, right? Like every individual or family is different. So depending on the specific circumstances, the resources and supports that each household has, they may transition to, let's say, share housing because they don't want to share, they don't want to live in a dorm anymore. They want to at least have a room, or they may move into what we call independent living, in scatter site. So like actually renting a home, like a small unit. So it really depends on the specific circumstances of each individual. And I think, Kari, I might have answered your question in a way. So veterans, I would say if you call the Aging and Disability, if they're seniors, the Aging and Disability Resource Center. If they're veterans, you can call Broward County Elderly and Veterans, and they can give you a variety of services. Or there's also another organization that helps veterans specifically, which is Mission United. They are an organization funded by United Way. They serve veterans. I'm not sure if they serve only homeless veterans or if they serve all veterans. But again, between Broward County Elderly and Veterans and Mission United, I'm sure that you can find some information and resources for veterans. You're welcome, Ron. So what type of housing qualifies for our program? More, so really, we, again, because we just try to act as advocates and intermediaries. We don't have, besides, unless we are subsidizing rent, obviously in that case, we just have to do an inspection. And Mike can talk a little bit more about the inspection process. But when it comes to housing, any type of housing. So we do work with what we call share housing landlords. So these are landlords that have a single family home with multiple bedrooms, and they decide to either rent each bedroom or rent beds within that home, within those bedrooms. And we, we don't have any sort of coding. We still inspect, we try to know the owners, see make sure that you're not just trying to exploit, individuals, but that you're really, serving our community. Again, we're not asking anybody to do favors, but making sure that, the home, it's in livable conditions. But any type of dwelling that it's livable, that is within code, it's appropriate. Uh, and again, let's say for share housing, we typically offer only moving assistance, so we don't provide rental assistance. For scatter site, which is single family homes, we might be able to match you with a client that actually has a rental subsidy. Um, so I think the next question is leases must be 12 months or month to month. Okay. So when it comes to share housing, sometimes the leases are month to month. When it comes to scatter sites, so single family homes, the leases are traditionally 12 months. As housing providers, can we choose a type of tenant we're willing to accept? Um, so yes and no. So you may have some preferences, but we still have to abide with fair housing laws. So obviously, you know, we cannot discriminate. But let's say that you say, you know what, like I have a heart for domestic violence victim or somebody fleeing domestic violence. That's definitely something that you know we might be able to work with you. And we can also connect you with the, like our designated domestic violence organization in Broward County, which is Women in Distress. Because, again, there might be some technicalities involved in terms of privacy protection and so forth. So, like, if you say, well, I'm only going to serve, or I only want to serve somebody fleeing or attempting to flee domestic violence, by nature of that desire, if we house somebody with you, we're also disclosing that they're a victim. So there might be some technicalities there that I'm not sure that but again, like it's something that we can let the housing provider work with you or the housing navigator work with you, um, to kind of like serve that specific population. I think that's all the questions. I don't know if
Anyone else have questions? Please put them in the Q&A box. I think I saw a couple of them coming through the chat. I'm not sure if we answered this, but let me see with you, Nico. As an agent landlord working with other landlords and tenants, where do we direct them for services? For example, most tenants don't have move-in costs.
okay, so work with other landlords. And I'm gonna ask a clarifying question. Okay, most tenants don't have moving costs. So if you are, or if you have landlords that you serve, you definitely want to get in contact with Mike. Mike has a database of landlords that, when we have tenants, you know, depending on the specific characteristics of your home and our family, we try to match. So Mike is definitely, a resource for you. And if you don't have moving costs, or if your client doesn't have moving costs, that's even better. Let me
Nico, let me just chime in.
Yes,
Just
absolutely.
remember, as Nico was mentioning earlier, we do serve those two categories of homelessness. So they have to meet that criteria to receive the services.
So I hope that answered your question, Makelda. If you guys have any questions, definitely let us know now. I have this entire webinar recorded. I have, put those contact informations in the chat. The link that you have there, Nico, it wasn't working, but I searched it on Google and I got the link. It's taskforcefl.org/outreach. So very similar to that link there, but I found it on Google. So you guys, that's there. And again, Nico just put in ADRC Broward is the one-stop shop for seniors. That's just going to the only the hosts and panelists, Nico. So you might have to switch that to everyone. Broward County Elderly and Veteran Services. So that's some good information there. I did put the information in the chat, Patrice, but I will be sending everyone a follow-up email. It'll be coming from me, Alexa, at bpmria.com with all of the details that you're seeing on the screen right now, emails, everything. I'm including Michael's email as well, since he is the one that has that criteria, as well as knows what properties and what people need and everything like that. So I hope this was so helpful, you guys. I do have a raffle winner, and I know that I thoroughly enjoyed the information that we learned today, and I know a lot of you are ready and willing to help. So I wanted to ask you really quick, Nico, if you wanted to talk about that event that you guys are having on November 17th. I wasn't sure if this was applicable to the group here, but definitely wanted to give you some time to talk about that. If that's something that you want to talk about, no pressure. I saw that and it looks really cool. So
So as a matter of fact, we part of the purpose was to invite you to that event, but it was so popular that we actually
oh,
well, we didn't sell it, but we overbooked it, uh,
okay.
which is a landlord appreciation event, and that's a way for us to say thank you to our landlords for helping our community. So like we're giving some awards, we're having breakfast. So it's an opportunity to network and again, appreciate you guys for helping us address, homelessness. Now, for next year, hopefully you will not only be coming to the event, but also, be awarded, for partnering with us in helping solve homelessness in Broward County. And Alex, I wanted to thank you and your team for having us. I hope that this is the beginning of a long-term, partnership. And if any of you have any questions, you feel free to email me, even if they may seem unrelated. Again, I want to be a resource to you when it comes to social services. I've been in the field for many years. I understand the system of care. So you might have a client, family, a tenant, experiencing behavioral health problems, mental health problems. Feel free to reach out to me. Like I can provide some resources to you. Or again, like you feel like, hey, like I have this family, they have a loss of income, or anything, please. That's what we're here for. We're here to serve our community.
Thank you so much, Nico. Right back at you and Michael as well. We're so grateful for the information. It's just absolutely incredible what you guys are doing and serving the community that much needs it. Needs the support and needs all of the resources possible because like you started off in the beginning of the class, for anyone that missed it in the very beginning, Nico was very clear, like we're not home until everyone is in a home. So I think that that's probably what hit me the hardest today. I grew up doing a lot of charity work with Broward County, being born and raised here in Broward County. I'm also half Venezuelan, so I'm happy that we have that connection, Nico. That's so awesome. But yeah, it's true. Our community needs our help, and I am hoping that this was a good synergy for a lot of you, and I will definitely be sending everyone all of the contact information you need. So don't hesitate to reach out to the team so that they can get you in touch with the appropriate person that you need to speak with. So with that being said, I do have the winner for the raffle today. So somebody in here won a free membership to BPM RIA. Let me make sure that they are not a winner already of this year, because I don't like to repeat the winners. One second, you guys. I'm pretty sure this is a new winner. And yes, this is a new winner. So, congratulations to Juan Pablo T. Congratulations. We will be in touch, Juan Pablo. And I hope you guys got a lot out of today's session. And again, please share this recording with anyone who needs it, anyone who think would be even interested in, helping the community, any of your landlord friends, investor friends, anyone that has, a voice that is able to spread the word, all of the above. Please, please share this replay. It will be available on our YouTube channel within 24 hours, you guys. So check that out. Make sure you are subscribed so that you get the notification once it is posted. And just thank you both so much for the information today. And we will see you hopefully very soon. Hopefully we can get them out to one of the networking meetings, but definitely we will need to circle back as this is such an important topic to me and to our CEO and to a lot of people here at our local RIA. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'm so happy to hear that the event is full. We will need some BPM RIA people at the next year. Once they get involved and start, contributing. I think it's such a great idea and it's such a great thing that they can, be celebrated because they truly deserve it. It's making such a big impact on people's lives who really need the support. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. YouTube channel link is in the chat. It's super easy. youtube.com/little @ BPM REIA. So it's super easy to find it. I will also be emailing all of you guys as soon as we hop off today. So look out for my email again coming from me. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the week. We will see you very soon. And thank you guys again. And we'll see you hopefully very soon as well. So thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you, you guys. Have a good day.
Thanks so much. Bye bye now.